Yeah, well, I think Sunnyland to me is kind of a it's a little more rounded out, I think, than most of our other albums, and I think what's cool about it is that I think it has songs or elements that kind of could fit on each of our previous albums. There's a little bit of everything that we've done, as well as a little bit of new stuff as well, and some kind of moving forward into some new territory at the same time. So that's what I like a lot about it. Is I mean I love all the songs. I think they all turned out really cool. Sometimes you're really excited about a song and the final version of it isn't quite as impactful as you'd hoped it would be, or as you knew it could be. And I feel like with this album, all the songs turned out really strong, and I'm really happy with it. And yeah, a lot of different styles, and so it's just kind of well-rounded out album. Yeah, well, I guess kind of like sort of what I was saying before. It's a little bit of everything we've done. It's got some of the softer softer side of Mayday Parade, the ballads, acoustic and piano songs, and it's also got the opposite end of that, sort of some of the little bit heavier, at least for us, heavier, more aggressive songs, as well as just kind of the standard pop punk, Mayday Parade songs, and then there's like some new, like I'd say like Always Leaving is a little bit more folky than anything we've done before, and Satellite kind of has a I don't know what the right word is, but almost like a more alternative pop kind of vibe to it. And I don't know, it's just kind of a little bit of a lot of different things. I think it's important to. There's a lot of albums that I love that, like, by the middle to end of it, I start to feel like it's just a lot of the same thing, kind of over and over again. So we always try and like keep it where you listen to an album all the way through, and it kind of takes you to a lot of different places, and you don't start to get bored, I guess. And that's kind of the goal there with that one. Yeah. The biggest obstacle, there were kind of a couple. One of them was that we sort of approached this album different, in that we didn't just, normally we spend a bit of time writing, sort of as we're touring, and we'll get together and write, and then we go in and we spend a month and a half or 2 months like just doing the album. We'll do pre-production, and then we record the album, and it's all kind of like a focused effort. Whereas this time around, it was sort of split up. We at one point we did some writing as we were touring, and then in the summer of, oh gosh, I guess it was the summer of 2017, we went into the studio with John Feldman and Howard Benson in California and recorded roughly about half or so, or a handful of songs for the album there. And then we went back on tour and kept writing, and then kind of got together with Zach and Ken 6 months or 8 months later, or whatever it was, and finished the album. So a lot of what I was worried about was that it would feel like disjointed or disconnected, or like I didn't want it to be obvious that we had sort of recorded at different places at different times. I wanted it to feel like it has the flow of an album, and so I think it really did. It turned out, I think, pretty well. And I think it's not really like glaringly obvious that it was sort of split up that way. But that was one of the issues, I guess, or one of the things that I definitely thought a lot about, how to handle that. And then also what was tough was just picking the songs, really. We wrote so many songs between all the five of us, all write and contribute songs, and there were just there's so many songs to go through, and so many that were great and had potential, and it's really hard to narrow that down to there's the 13 that ended up making it on the album. But that's a really difficult process, and you never know, like, you could have cut out a song that would have been great, and but I guess at some point you have to just go with it and commit, and and you take the input from like Kenneth and Zach and John Feldman and Howard Benson, and everybody, record Rise, our record label, kind of take all that input, and then we just kind of powwow about it and see what we want to do. But yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's just I don't know. I feel like every record you do is like a learning process, and I feel like that continues to be the case every time. Even if you feel like, oh, now like we've got it down, like we know like what we're doing or whatever. You still like at the end of that one go, well, maybe we should have done this or that. There's always things that you learn. Um, and so that I feel like continues to be the case, and now even like preparing for, it's really early, but like talking about doing the next one, there's things that we've learned from Sunnyland that we would sort of approach differently. And so it just always kind of keeps you and I guess it's lucky that it is that way. I feel like that kind of keeps it from starting to feel too stale, or like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. It's kind of hard to find that balance of doing new stuff, but not straying too far from what makes your band your band, and makes people like your band, and it's kind of trying to find that balance, and I guess we're always sort of trying to figure that out, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know, nothing too crazy, nothing too unusual. We sort of did, when we recorded Piece of Your Heart, we got a little more, that was a song that kind of came in last minute that we weren't gonna record as we were doing pre-production for the album with Kenneth and Zach. We had mostly figured out what songs we were gonna do, and then sort of last minute, we wanted to do that song, Piece of Your Heart, and Kenneth and Zach were like, well, let's mess around with it. And in pre-production, we got everybody on different like instruments, like banging on stuff and whatever, to try and give this like sort of atmosphere to it. And it was cool to do that kind of just on the spot, and a lot of like group just a lot of like group involved, like vocals and all kinds of stuff that we just kind of on the spot just recorded sort of while we were doing pre-production, but kind of really helped that song. And I know it's not really that, bizarre or anything, but there's nothing too crazy, I guess, that
Okay.
I feel like we really did. Yeah. Yeah. Most challenging song to create. I don't know if I. Like Always Leaving was tough to. We ended up recording that song twice, just because it was tough to kind of really. So Alex wrote that song, Always Leaving, and his demo was just, the one acoustic guitar and the one vocal, and really had this awesome vibe to it. And then we tried to record it and sort of like spice it up into this, we added some like percussion and harmonies and different instruments, and to kind of make it this, and it just kind of killed so much of like that vibe. And so we ended up re-recording the song entirely and just kind of bringing it back to, it's got to just be this one guitar, one vocal, and just simplify it. And there was something about that was, just really nice. And but I don't know. I mean, other than that, it all was pretty, pretty natural and pretty organic. The song Is Nowhere is just like super high. It's really like aggressive vocals and really high. And that one was like, I guess, one of the toughest ones to like sing and perform. But other than that, it was all, it was, I guess, pretty easy in a sense. The stuff that we recorded with John Feldman was tough just because he's so fast paced. And I mean, and it's great. There's really something nice about his whole thing is like, don't overthink it, and like capture the moment and capture the energy as it's happening. So we'd go in and we'd record 2 songs a day with him, just like, just jump in, like without even like no time to like, we'd write something and then just record it like right then, and so it was definitely kind of stressful, but it also, I think got some really good results, and was it's kind of cool the way that he does that. So yeah.
Okay.